Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Cash Flow Joe podcast, brought to you by Pips Path to Property. I'm Pip Stellick, and here at Cash Flow Joe, we're here to help beginning investors with their first transaction and seasoned investors on how to make more money by doing properties with less of their own money and using more leverage. And so just want to make sure we help everybody learn how to make money in this real estate game. Our company trains and mentors thousands of students all over the world to be more successful. So for more information, you can go to our website, pipspath.com, where we have tons of free content that you can start to consume. I'm excited today because I've got a real real estate. I was going to say real estate. That's okay. I've got a superstar with me today. And some of you might already know him. He's got a huge following on Instagram and some other stuff. Alex Love Lee is in the house. How you doing, Alex?
What's up, man? I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm honored to have you on the podcast. And I've interviewed with lots of people on the podcast, but I know Alex probably a little bit less than a lot of the other people I've interviewed before. So, Alex, I'm going to learn about you. And if I don't know the answer to a question, I'm going to keep asking, probing it all down there. So, Alex, tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, what you do, and how you got to where you're at today.
All right, awesome. So, yeah, I love real estate, and I love what you're doing. And I love what you said about the leverage and being able to use other people's money. I think this is something that's amazing that real estate offers. A little bit about me. I grew up in New Jersey. I went to Rutgers, Newark, and that's where I found the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. Robert Kiyosaki, Purple Bible, right? So from there, I made a decision that real estate was going to be the place that was going to make my money. My mom dabbled in real estate for a little bit, but she really just bought her own house, and I saw that real estate, no matter what, was a great asset that people should own. So for me, I bought my first triplex after I graduated from college, and it was on my college campus. It was right after the 2007, 2008 crash. So I kind of got lucky. I kind of got lucky. Timing was really great for me. Within like 2 years, my property appreciated from 220,000 to 660,000. And this is right out of college, right? So making 400,000 on that was great. Now, I didn't have a mentor at that time, right? There wasn't a lot of podcasts like these. There wasn't a lot of YouTube videos. So I was like, oh, how do I get this money out? So I did a refinance out of it, and I went and bought two restaurants. So I went and bought two restaurants, no mentor, nobody teaching me. So I ended up losing the restaurant and losing my house, losing my car. My car got repoed, and it was just it was a very tough time for me. And I moved down to Florida after that, shortly after. Um, and what I did, I started to host like little real estate meetups to share my success on that triplex. And on my third meetup, somebody actually said, I would love to do what you did. I'm like, okay, well, let's form like a 50-50 partnership, right? I'll run the deal. I got no money at this point. My credit was completely shot. So this is where I learned the power of leveraging other people's money, right? And he came in with $46,000. We used his credit. He signed on to the loan. We bought a property in Las Vegas. We did Airbnb before it was big, and we did really well. And within 2 years, he had introduced me to his friends, and they wanted to do more. And within 2 years, I had 12 properties, all 50-50 splits with people, making $20,000 a month cash flow. None of my own money, didn't sign on to any loans. And, I think having that like bit of money to start playing with again, I started doing wholesale, lease options, short-term, long-term, mid-term rentals, new builds, just anything in the residential space. And today I kind of upgraded and graduated into the multifamily space. We own about 800 units total. We have everything from industrial storage to regular storage to apartments, and now we're about to start developing like a 400 or 500 unit multifamily. Oh, we also have a hotel as well.
Very cool. And so you live in Vegas now, right? Is that correct?
Yep. And now I live in Vegas.
Very cool. And so I want to get back to your restaurant thing in a minute, because I mean, that's just interesting to hear, because that's the failure. That's the biggest failure. I'm going to get back to that in a minute. But you said something that I know a new investor and even people that are seasoned investors will not be able to understand, because you said I did a deal and I split it 50-50, and the other dude brought the money and the credit. So everybody that's listening to that's a new investor is going, well, heck, Alex, that ain't 50-50 where I come from. How do you structure a deal like that? I mean, you don't have to go into every detail, but I've been doing that for years, 20 plus years. And people are, when I teach them this, they're like, you can't do that. Nobody's going to do that. So how did that deal get structured? And what did you bring to the table? If it's truly a 50-50 deal, what are you bringing to the table that the other guy didn't have?
Mm-hmm. So first thing, I thought about my failure, my restaurant, right? I was like, I put all the money in, we did the renovations, I ran it all, and I ran it to the ground. I mean, basically, because I didn't know what to do, right? I didn't even know at the end of the quarter we had to file taxes and everything just started falling behind. I never had a business before. This is coming out of college, right? So my thinking was, man, if I had a mentor, if somebody knew how to run a business, I would have given up 50% of my profits and we would be good. I would rather have 50% of something that is successful than to be in the position I was in. Right. And I realized how little people understood about real estate at that time. Plus, not everybody wants to learn how to do real estate. Right. They rather give it to somebody that has got the expertise and be able to make money. If I can double their money every 2 to 5 years, it doesn't matter if it's 20% or 50-50 split, right? As long as we can create that, as long as the numbers make sense and we can do that, then, I'm doing all the work. I found the deal. I negotiated the deal. I ran and operated the deal. He literally just got a mailbox money every single month. He loved it. $46,000 investment. He was getting money every month. And, we were very blessed because very quickly we refinanced all of his money back out. So the way the 50-50 is structured is all profits that we make, we split 50-50. So when we refinance, he gets all of his money back first. Anything we make on top of that, we split 50-50. Any profits I make on the cash flow, we split 50-50. So it's a no-brainer for somebody that just wants to invest passively. Now, it doesn't make sense if you want to invest and you want to be managing and you have somebody else managing. That's probably very chaotic. But there's always a way to structure, and that's why I love real estate, because you can be so creative. There's way more we can do with that, and especially now that we're in the multifamily space, it gets so creative. We can go into that if you want.
Well, and I just think people don't get that because they're like, I know if I was listening to this 25 years ago and somebody said it's a 50-50 deal, I didn't bring any money or credit, and the guy thought it was 50-50. People don't get that. So thanks for pointing that out, because that's a huge win for most new investors, is to realize that they can literally, if they have some knowledge and have mentors in their lives, they can, really get into a totally different place. So I got to ask, what kind of restaurants did you have, man?
So I opened up a coffee shop, sandwich shop on my college campus. It did really well. We did $1 million a year. And just because we were in a great location, and I don't know how to run the business, doesn't matter how much money you make, you're going to blow it all. Right. So if I just had a mentor, man, we could have done well. But I'm glad. I'm very glad that
that's a lot of volume for a restaurant, is $1 million. People don't realize that. That's a lot of volume.
Yeah. We at lunchtime, we will have tickets going across the entire sandwich unit, all the way down to the ground, all the way to the door.
That is awesome. Good stuff. And you're renting it to the ground. So even a better story, I guess. So yes. That's probably your biggest failure, I'm guessing. What's your biggest win that you've had as you've gotten into I guess since college? What's been your biggest win? Doesn't even have to be real estate. What's been your biggest win?
I mean, I think the biggest win is meeting my wife. Right.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer. So how
long
long
have you been watching this at some point?
How long have you been married?
So we met 4 years ago in a personal development training in Florida, and we've been married for about 2 years. I knew probably a month and a half in.
Yeah. Well, isn't it? And that's crazy. How old were you when you got married then? I don't even know how old you are. You got to be late 30s.
I'm 37 now, so okay. I got married 35. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got married in my 30s, and I never thought I'd get married. But when you find and everybody said, when you would find the right one, you'll know it. Mm-hmm. And then that is so true. I mean, and this is what Babeski is behind you. Babeski. Is that something that's your wife and you?
Yeah. I used to call all my bros broski, right? So now I call my wife. I'm like, hey babe, instead of just babe, it's Babeski. Everyone calls their wives babe. So, and she's Polish, so it kind of makes sense.
Now Can we get by with saying that? I don't know. I hope we can get by with saying that. That is too funny. Well, very good. Good stuff. So what's something, okay, so when you got into this whole real estate game, what's something that happened that you didn't expect would happen?
I think just how fast I was growing because I wasn't using my own money and I was trading my time for equity, right? For shares. I thought I could just go on and do 10, 20, 30, and it just would keep going. But again, didn't have the mentorship, right? Nobody was teaching me how to scale. So when I got to about 10, right now we have 12 in single families, but when I got to 10, I was like, I can't work anymore like this, right? I had no drive to push any further. 20,000 a month cash flow was pretty nice. And I just didn't have any drive to push further because it was so much work. It started to pile on. So something that I learned was you have to have large enough deals. Your assets got to be large enough that you can hire somebody to actually, to run the property. You can hire a property manager. So that was something that I learned a little bit later into the game that, more doors are better.
Well, definitely, because you can scale much easier. So that's awesome. So who have been some of your biggest influences in your life? You've obviously had a lot of success. Who are some of the people that you look up to, the biggest influencers that you've had in your life?
Yeah, besides some of the real estate guys like Robert Kiyosaki and Grant Cardone and these guys, I mean everybody, Chris Crone, they've all been great in inspiring me in real estate. But I think Jim Rohn, every day I wake up in the morning, I still listen to Jim Rohn. He really helped me get out of that space when I was, playing the victim the entire time after losing my restaurant. So I listened to him a lot. I listened to this guy Billy Osbrook actually on YouTube. He was very inspirational. If you check out some of his stuff, man, he gets you pumped up. Billy Osbrook.
I'm writing it down, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, for me, I mean, obviously, I've got a couple of years on you, almost 20, which is kind of sad for me, but nonetheless, um, I had the opportunity to get mentored by Kiyosaki out in Arizona, which was
Awesome.
crazy experience. This guy's over the top insane and has no filter whatsoever.
Yes.
And so to me, that was like an aha moment in to be able to communicate with people. Then the other thing that happened to me, you say Jim Rohn, his grandson was in a class I taught out in LA probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I didn't even believe him. He's like, well, you've heard Jim Rohn. I said, yeah, of course I have. I said, I listened to his stuff. Well, he was my grandfather. And I'm like, what? Oh my gosh. So it's just weird that you say both of those names. And obviously, Kiyosaki comes up a lot when I talk to people, but Jim Rohn doesn't come up every day. I think my favorite quote, and I'm going to ask you too, and maybe I'll steal it from you. Well, I'll ask you first. What's your favorite Jim Rohn quote if you can think of one? If you can't, I'm going to give you one because I got one that I really like.
Oh man.
Yeah, I thought I'm going to put you on the
When
spot here.
so when everyone is winning, when everyone is oh my God, well, how did it go? I'm
Well,
gonna
you
butcher
don't
it.
have to. You don't have to do it word for word. We're not going to check the work. But hey, what's the gist of the one of your favorite points that Jim Rohn makes?
So basically, creating a space where everybody wins. That's one,
Beautiful.
and,
Yeah.
and that's something that I take with me. And there's just a lot. I mean, there's so much. I can't think of one right now on the spot.
Well, I've done so much public speaking. I'm always trying to memorize different words and catchphrases. And the one I like about from Jim Rohn, he says, "Don't ask for it to be easier. Ask for
Ask you
yourself to
for
be better,
Yep.
or for
Yeah,
you to
that
be
one.
better." Something like that. I probably
Yep.
made a joke of it as well. But that's cool. So yeah, Jim Rohn, great stuff. And so yeah, to me, that's a big win. So you like Jim Rohn. Who else do you go to for inspiration? Obviously your what's your wife's name? Didn't even get that yet. What is it?
Kasha, but everybody calls her Love.
I wasn't going to call her Babeski because I thought that'd be a little weird, but
No, so
Ka-
great stories. Everyone calls her Love. So her name was gonna be Lovely. And I was like, I want our kids to be lovely. I want it. This is a great marketing thing too. So we changed it when we got married that we added love to our last name too. So now like all our businesses are, Lovely Management, Lovely Kingdom LLC. Like it's great.
now, had nobody taken that on like any of your URL sites? Nobody had the
Oh, of course.
lovely.
Nope, nope,
That
not
is
yeah.
beautiful.
So I
What a
got it all.
what
AlexLovely.com, Instagram. If you find Alex Lovely on any social media platform, you find me.
what a great marketing tool.
Hmm.
So, what are some things? Obviously, a lot of new investors watching this, a lot of new entrepreneurs listening to it as well. What are some things that you would tell them? Some of your biggest teaching points, because I know you're out there teaching and doing a lot of stuff now too. What are some things that you would tell a new investor? 2 or 3 points to really get them going.
I would say one, you have to find a mentor, like somebody you got to commit to somebody that you can actually you feel drawn to. When someone says something, maybe they share a quote, maybe you listen to somebody on a podcast, you're like, I'm really drawn to that message, what they're saying right there. Start to be all in on that mentor because you are open to what they're sharing. If you're open to what they're sharing, you're going to be able to learn a lot more, a lot easier, right? If you're listening to somebody else, you're like, I don't really agree with that, and then everything becomes I agree, I don't agree, versus just being open and absorbing like a sponge. So I think mentor is really important. Just know, like, okay, well, he's doing something that I want to do. That means there's something I can learn. And it's easy for me because I'm open to the way that he shares or she shares. So I think mentorship, having a mentor insanely it was probably the biggest thing for my growth. Right? Every time that I joined the mentorship, every time I hired a coach, I took a course, it drastically 10x where I was, my investment.
I agree
So I
with
think
that.
that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000,000%. So, what are some of the exciting things you're working on right now in your industry and in your business? What are you doing? As I know you do a lot more than just real estate. So,
Mhm.
tell everybody some of the things you're working on and some of the things you got going on in your life right now.
Yeah. So my biggest passion is actually working and my faith, really spirituality conversations. So I teach a book called The Course in Miracles. So that is probably the biggest passion that I have. I teach that on Sundays and Wednesdays. It's a foundation for peace. We really get to look at ourselves. I think it's one of the best piece of literature. They call it channel, but that was written in the, I don't know, that I've ever read. So I continue to learn that and practice the principles and guidance in there. So that's number one. And two, um, real estate. I teach multifamily, and now we're starting to move into teaching funds, how people work with funds. And the project that I'm really big on right now is uh, Tony Hsieh with Zappos. He left behind a entire downtown Fremont area in Las Vegas, and it's like a blank canvas. There's all these properties that he owned. He passed away. The late Tony Hsieh passed away right around COVID, right? And he had a vision of creating happiness in the world. It was the happiness movement. He believed if he served and created wow in all his relationships with his clients, with his employees, with his partners, if he was always about delivering wow, and that was his come from, then that culture itself carried from Zappos to other companies to people's lives, how they do relationships, it would create fulfillment and happiness. So carrying that on that legacy right now, we have a vision of redeveloping the Fremont area and downtown. So, all these properties are now starting to come up for sale. And the estate, Tony's dad is basically the decision maker. He wants to see vision first. There are people that are making full price offers on properties, and they're not even responding because there's no vision. And the vision is, you know, the Tony Hsieh legacy vision. How are you going to remember Tony, right? What are the things that you're going to do that carries forth his legacy so that his mission is still being, you know, carried forth even though he's passed. So we want to build community through art, through tech, through startups, and just always creating win-wins in that community. So I think from Las Vegas is a place that a lot of people visit. 26 million people visit the Fremont downtown area. We could create and provide an experience where when people leave, they're like, whoa, Vegas isn't what we thought it was, right? It's not just the strip. It's not just that. And we see Vegas starting to change or becoming the entertainment, sports uh, capital of the world, right? Like film is starting to come here. So Vegas overall is just really, really hot. I think I don't think statistics out there right now, the analytics of it really do it justice. And we get to be the ones that repaint the downtown area. And I think that's just an amazing journey and a worthy project to really go after.
Wow, that's well. And I remember the gentleman you're talking about, Tony. What was his last name? He
Tony
passed.
Hsieh.
Yeah, he passed away, and I remember reading about that. So,
Mhm.
and I think you and I were talking a little bit about that when I was out last time in Vegas talking to you a couple months ago. So
Yeah, yeah.
cool stuff. So tell me, what's been your favorite, or maybe it doesn't have to be the most profitable, but what's been your favorite real estate deal that you've done?
The one that we just closed. The one that we just closed took 11 months.
Tell
So
us
it's an
about it.
apartment deal in the Fremont downtown area. But man, I learned so much. There was just, it was, I call it the deal that never stops teaching, because it was 11 months. There was probably 4 or 5 times in this deal that I was like, I gave it everything I could, and that's it. It's up to God now, right? Like there's nothing more I can possibly do. We were gonna lose the deal. I have almost $300,000 tied up in there. I was like, my wife's gonna kill me, but she'll understand. There's just a lot of things that came up in that deal. It's very stressful. I learned, there's we syndicate deals, so kind of like the 50-50 partnerships. We bring a bunch of people together and we do like a 70-30 split on something like that. So somebody had committed $1.5 million, and we waited almost all the way to closing, and then they didn't come in with it. Right. So it was like a commitment. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are we holding this for you? So one of the things I learned is money's not in the bank, like it doesn't count. Right. And then also there was a bunch of other things that happened, but I learned so much through there, and I realized that all the stuff that I had to learn was to prepare me for all the things that are coming, because I learned about my own commitment to consistency and perseverance. Like those are all things that I learned because I was constantly trying to solve problems. I met so many great people that have helped me shape the vision that I have today, and is helping me uh, do a lot of the deals that we're going to be doing moving forth. So like the answers were actually found through the struggles of that deal, which is amazing.
And cool stuff. Yeah, and you said that they're going to be helping you over the next, however many years. So where do you see the Lovely project? I love that name, by the way. Where do you see the Lovely family and what you're going to be doing 5, 10 years from now? What's the goal out there?
Oh man, you ready? You ready for this big vision here?
Well,
Let's go
hey,
for it
if
a little
you,
bit.
what do they say? If you can dream it, you can achieve it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you
So
got
so
to
I'll
put it
share
out
I'll
there.
I'll share this first is you know, the reason why I got into teaching and the reason why I've been doing a lot of mentorships and things in real estate is because I walked into a Publix in Florida, and this was when I was kind of in a place where I was trying to figure out what to do next. And there was an 85-year-old lady working at the Publix. Everywhere I went, it was the elderly that was working, and I was like, this is in our culture, this doesn't really happen. Like the kids always take care of the parents, and they're never going to be working at a supermarket or anything like that. So I felt like we're in the wealthiest country in the world, and we have failed our elders. Our elders have brought us to where we are today, and we failed them. And it's a system where we promised, here during your prime time of your life, put the money into this, and you will retire and you will be good. And of course, now we're seeing that that's not playing out like they promised. Right. So there had to be something else. And I'm like, I'm making 20,000 a month in real estate. And 3 years ago, I was literally as low as you can get, 450,000 in debt. My credit score was under 400. So there's really no excuses that people can't play this game. Right. But what I realized is that there are about 4 funds out there that run the entire country, probably the entire world. They own all the companies. They put all the people into the board positions. They lobby for all the people in politics. So they've run everything. And my goal now is, through our fund and through the people that I've met, we have a large amount of capital up front to be able to purchase real estate, and we also have the best debt. There's debts I'm not gonna share where it comes from, but we have the best debt, and I want to give that opportunity to all the investors. So what we're doing is we're going to buy the deals cash. The more expensive the deal, the more discount we're going to get up front. So let's say it's $100 million deal. We're going to get it for 85 million. That's $15 million that will go towards our investors. So we're going to create a fund on the back end where all the people in my community will also be fund to fund managers, and they can all raise capital, fund into our fund, and it will recapitalize the deal that we just purchased for cash with our really awesome debt that we have, and everybody's going to be able to make money. So we're going to have 20 real estate funds. We're going to have a debt fund. We're going to have venture funds, and we're going to have 100,000 people that are fund to funds just funding our funds. And when this fund gets big enough, my goal is to inspire these massive 4 funds out there, Vanguard and all these guys. You guys can look them up. But I want to inspire them to play a game that is impact first, right? Community, responsibility, social responsibility, all of that first, and create win-wins versus a win-loss. And if everybody can start doing that, my ultimate goal is to end world hunger. I don't believe that anywhere in the world should there not be clean water. I don't think people should be starving anywhere. There's just no reason for that with how wealthy our country is and some of the advanced nations are. So my goal is to create something that is going to, change the paradigm.
Wow, that's big. I'm not sure where to even go after that. I was going to ask a question about high interest rates, but that kind of just pushed that off to the side, I guess. So
yeah, well, so you got to think like high interest rates is in the United States, right? And then you have, and I'll just kind of share this a little bit. The rest of the world out there, their inflation is so much higher than ours, so they're losing money. They're willing to bring their money into the United States at a much lower interest rate than what we have. If you have the connections, if you meet the right people in the right rooms, and you have a big enough vision, you may be able to participate in something that is different from what's only available in the States right now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I could ask you to expand on that, but we're already probably at close to 30 minutes, and we'd be here for another 3 hours. So.
Oh yeah, we can go on for 3 different episodes on this topic.
Well, and we'll definitely have to get you back on because there's just so much out there. And and so you obviously been doing this for a while. And I'm doing this for myself because I'm obviously new into this podcast world, and I don't care that people know that I'm new in it. I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem being new because at some point you're going to be new in anything you do. So what's a question that you wish I would have asked you, because you're more in the social media space than I am, that you think people would have wanted to have answered? What's a question you wish I would have asked you? Maybe that's a hard one to get, but let's go. I've made him think. That's good. That's what I'm here to do.
Well, you've asked a really good question, which was you tapped into the why, right? I think everybody needs to be asking themselves and everyone else, when you're looking for sponsors, looking for partners, why? Like, why are you doing that? When you're looking at real estate deals, also, why are you looking at that? One of the questions I love to answer is when people are asking about underwriting and the markets and the deals that we're looking at. When I share with people, why are you looking at this deal? Right? Okay, the numbers are good, but why? Why this deal right here? Why in this market? Because a lot of people out there are just buying any deal, sporadic, all over the place. Right? Like mine, I have very, very deep rooted why I'm buying right here in Fremont, Las Vegas area. Anybody else offering me deals everywhere else, it could be awesome numbers, but it doesn't align to what I'm doing. So I think it's very important as people ask themselves, why am I doing this? Why am I in this game? Why do I want to do real estate so that I can be free? Why do you want to be free? And ultimately, when you go 5 or 6 layers down your whys, you're going to find out that it's something greater than just getting financial freedom. And now when you realize that yourself, when options and opportunities show up, it's very easy to make a decision. Because is it aligned to this 5th, 6th, 7th layer of my why? Because I understand where it's coming from. I think that's really important. I think as people are looking at deals, looking for partners, if you look beyond the deals, because everybody's got deals, it's the same thing. It's a 16, 17 IRR, 2x in 5 years. And it's like, okay, wow, all these deals are the same. You got to look at the person. You got to look at yourself. Why do you want to invest in that? I've been working with a lot of private equity and family offices, and I realized that when they look at your deals, 3 out of their 5 criterias, they're looking at you. From did you show up on time, all the way to why you're buying this property and how you've done in your past properties. So track record, all of those things play a part in it, but it's the people. It's the people that run the deal. A great deal could be run to the ground by somebody, as we've shown in my restaurant example. A great location, a great deal could be totally run to the ground with a bad operator, and a bad deal could be amazing with a good operator. right? So it's in the people.
That makes all the difference. You're 1,000,000% correct. Well, that's awesome, buddy. I appreciate your time today, Alex. Alex Lovely. I like saying that. Now that I got some context on it, it makes a lot more sense to me. So, so Alex, tell everybody how they can get in touch with you, and best way to find you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, if you go to our website, alexlovely.com, or you can check out our company's vision and what we do, legendsequitygroup.com. And all of my social media handles is alexlovely.com. It's Loveli.
Beautiful. I love it. So I appreciate you being on here, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You bet. Before we get out of here, just want to say again, if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform you guys use. For more information on us, go to our website, pipspat.com. See us on all the different social media stuff. I say consume this on YouTube so you can see what Alex Lovely looks like. And you might as well. He's a good-looking dude. Great to have you, my friend. Once again, I'm just going to say thanks. Humbled that you're on here, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon, buddy.